Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Undertaker here. And so I want to do kind of a continuation of the video that I released, Saturday or Sunday? That video being essentially a chronicle of my whole experience with fentanyl. From the first time I used it to having to detox and get off of it and rehab. And so what that was is essentially a chronicling of, a small little sliver of the life and story that led up to the beginning of that specific crutch and hindrance on my life, all the way through kind of pretty much just the ending of that chapter, my use of the fentanyl. And I think I tossed in a little bit of like, what rehab was like for me, very formative and positive. And yeah, I think that's pretty much where I left off. And I wasn't really, even considering making a video like this. But then I thought about it. I'm like, well, yeah, that's, harrowing and praise Jesus that I was able to, get through to the other side of that, not myself, all with his, guiding hand and help. Like, if it was not for, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't be here. I probably wouldn't be off of that stuff. But so it's been, coming up on 4 years now, 3 3/4. So the last time that I used fentanyl was literally either the very late hours. No, it was the 4th of July in the morning. And in the year 2022, and it's now April 27th, Monday, April 27th, 2026. Just shy of 3 years and 10 months. It's pretty wild to think about. As I sit here and I try and reminisce about what it was like first readjusting to life and society coming out of rehab, and not just having like an immediate crutch or something to lean on, but going from using some of the most powerful substances in high quantities and drowning myself in them, to now being out in the real world once again, which the hardest part, right, of transitioning out of rehab is everything that led up to you getting to rehab was all the proof in the world that you needed that you were not capable of functioning and operating through normal everyday life in society without not just a hindrance or a crutch or some type of impairment, but in my scenario, and most people who get as far as I was to where they need to go to a facility and an institution and essentially be locked away from their lives in society in order to stop, it's far past just needing a little head change anymore. It's full on dependence, even further than needing money to buy food and eat. Because if you give a dope fiend a $20 bill and you say you need to buy food with this, but that dude's going through withdrawals with no designs on stopping, that motherfucker ain't gonna eat for another 2 or 3 days, I promise. Because one, they're out of dope sick, and two, I mean, at that point, yeah, you need food, but is it food, or would you rather your dope get you more fucked, or would you not even fucked up, but just maintenance? Would you rather the dope hit you harder? So, I mean, the not eating side of it actually kind of helps, your goal. Going from that, that kind of normal to an everyday life normal that not only doesn't involve any of that, but that your main focus has to become avoiding that as hard and as fucking often and as strongly as you can forever. Like it's not like, you just can stop being aware that you have the tendency to fucking go completely off the rails and, end up the biggest dope fiend again. That's the one thing that I look back on, and I'm proud and happy that I haven't forgotten, because that's something that's always a constant in my mind. And but where I started that rambling off was just thinking about the time that's passed, right? I think back about when I first got out of rehab and I moved in with my cousin, because we both felt like that was probably my best shot at not using again, was living in a comfortable, peaceful environment with people that I love and that I know love me. And that was imperative for the first, year and a half that I was out. And the one thing that I can't help but think about is a lot of time has passed, but it also feels like not that much has passed. It doesn't feel that long ago. Thinking about 2022 and thinking about, times where I'd be on the freeway, nodding and that really doesn't feel that long ago, but at the same time, it also feels forever ago, because I think about how I feel even just right now in this moment, right? The fact that I'm able to just be sitting in my car, I'm in pain right now. I'm on disability right now because I'm injured, but and even that, I know myself so much to the point where, God forbid I ever have to get some sort of surgery that requires not requires, but that is extremely painful to recover from. But I can't even take painkillers. For me, I like opiates and painkillers far too much that it's not even it's there's a switch in my mind that will trick me into thinking I need them, right? And so I can't even take the risk of getting painkillers from a doctor because I need them or something, if I were to get a surgery, because just every single time if I were to take one, it would be literally playing Russian roulette with a fucking piece of foil and a straw and a bag of fentanyl. The one saving grace that I have is I have zero contact with anybody that could even begin to get me some stuff like that. And I'm sure if I really tried and asked around, we always can find it if we really want it. And that's the thing that we always need to remain aware of is us addicts are very, very resourceful when it comes to getting what we think we need or we know we want. But I'm not making this video just to talk about what, what I have to think about on a daily basis to deal with thoughts that come up or even cravings that might happen, which that's one thing I'm extremely grateful for is in the beginning, I definitely would have cravings and stuff. And I'd have dreams. I still have using dreams. I still have dreams where I very vividly feel in the dream, I am there, actually there, and get to the point where I'm about to take a hit, or I do take a hit, and I wake up right there and I'm in a panic because I'm fuck, dude, did I hit the self-destruct button? Did that happen? No, it's not. It's a dream. But those things, I don't think those things ever go away. And I feel the biggest things, right, is being able to coach ourselves through the like the backside of stuff like that, right? Like those dreams are like reminders, or they can kind of like flash you back into a moment in time where like you remember, oh well, yeah, I was loaded when this was happening, but that was a really fun time. And in fact, being loaded while I was doing it was super fun. Like, that would be cool, you know? It's those thoughts, right? Those are the dangerous ones, the ones that start sounding like rationalization and justification that you have to be constantly at all times. Even if you're waking up at fucking 3 a.m. because something like that just woke you up, you have to be ready to combat it and know and remind yourself and remember exactly where making a decision like that ends up. It ends up worse than it ended up last time, almost every time, right? But if I think about how is life, right? What is life like now? 3 3/4, almost 4 years removed from the rock bottom of my addiction. I couldn't be fucking happier. I couldn't be happier with what my life looks like right now. I couldn't be more content and pleased with the person that I am working towards becoming on a daily basis, right? I know I'm fucking crazy. I cuss too much. I don't clean my shit up enough. I'm just a fucking guy, right? Like, but I'm a guy that can be relied on. People who fucking love me and care about me know that if they were to call me first in their time of need, that I will stop at nothing to do everything I can to help those people. Was that me before? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Even if I tried portraying myself as that, like, that was definitely not me. And so, and do I think I could have become who I am today with, you know, the understandings of myself that I have? Not like the world, but the understandings I've developed about myself and how I can function better in it and be happier in it. I wouldn't trade that shit for the world. If I had to go through 50 of those withdrawal feelings that I discussed in my video to be the person that I get to be today, I would fucking do it every single time. If that was required to get to what life is now, abso-fucking-lutely. That's not me saying like, oh yeah, like if you're struggling, like go through fucking fentanyl addiction to fucking and get through the other side of it. That'll answer your question. No. I'm just saying, like, in my journey that is life, God saw it fit for me to use my free will to go off the beaten path and lose myself to demons to almost the point of no return, to be able to bounce back from that stronger than ever and remember all of it, because it gave me the gift of understanding just how precious this life is and just how much we can take from it should we choose to use the presence we were given and the awareness we were given, and just how far we can come if we choose to live in that presence and awareness. I learned more about myself in 45 days in rehab than I had my whole life, basically, leading up to that. I was just who I thought I was supposed to be, right? Like, who I thought the world and, like, people that I wanted to be proud of me, like, thought I should be, right? But now I get to live for me, and I get to be who I think is the best person to be in this world as me. Another thing is it's so much easier to maintain relationships, not just romantic, but like to be a good person for those that you love, right? There's no having to like do it under conditions, right? Because when you're somebody who's using like I was, like, you definitely have conditions. You can't just fly like on vacation somewhere. Like, how am I gonna go smoke on a fucking airplane? How am I gonna get it on an airplane? You can't just be at like a show, like if one of your friends was like doing a show or something, and just sit there and be present entirely and solely for that without thinking about something else. because you're going to have to go to the restroom like 5 or 6 times to get right again. Because when you're under enslavement by something like that, in the way that I was, your whole entire life is scheduled and works around the ability to use. If you can't safely use at the rate that that is your bare minimum, right, to get by in your head, you won't go anywhere. I went to a wrestling show. I'm a big wrestling fan. I went to a wrestling show like 2 months before I went to Havasu and ended up in rehab from there. And at that wrestling show, there was a lot that went on. I missed like CM Punk coming out missed his entrance, right, for AEW. He was like the AEW world champion at the time. He was injured, and he was coming out to act like he was going to relinquish the title, but actually not. And it basically set up his exit from the company because of some other drama, which is something I look back on. I mean, there's tons of things I look back on with regret, in terms of like, man, if I wasn't just so enslaved and encapsulated by that substance, I would have been able to enjoy that moment. And I look back, and in fact, it turns out I wasn't able to enjoy any of that show whatsoever, because the show wasn't the first thing that was on my mind. The dope was, and the constant like reminder that I need to go and use and come back. I went to the bathroom like 7 times during that fucking show. And like, what am I really going to get out of that? Right? Like you're not present. You're just getting high at the show. Like, that's all you're doing. And if I think about what life is like now, I would have to say that probably is like the thing that I appreciate the most having back, is that freedom, the capability and the understanding that I can go fishing and I can stand and walk around a little pond 6 or 7 times without having to go and take a shit somewhere. Because that'll be the one thing that makes me have to leave, is I actually have to shit, right? Whereas for at least the time I was doing that, I wasn't able to do stuff like that unless there was like a bathroom nearby, or I was able to park right nearby, or I was able to find somewhere to go hide from God's eyes, which is just, the public eye, to not be seen, so that I can do the devil's work to myself and use. And everything that I would do in my life was completely and utterly dictated by how far I was away from a point where I could actually use safely. And that means that you don't really get to go and experience very much anymore. Your whole life is just an enslavement of this substance, and where your mentality feels safe using it. And that's where, like, a lot of people, I got lucky enough to where that was like where mine ended, right? There's a lot of people who it doesn't end there. There's a lot of people who get sucked in to that kind of pattern of having to use, but also they can't not want to do the fun stuff. So then they start getting more and more reckless, and they start thinking they're smart and finding ways to like take bumps and shit like out in the open, and then they're spilling dope, and then that's not, but like, and then you're getting caught, and then when you get caught, well, what I was using is fucking prison automatically, right? So I mean, that's the path. Like, that's the progression. And then it's like, all it takes obviously is like one bad batch and one big hit, and even me, who's saturated with the shit, is gonna fucking die, right? But thank God I'm still here to live to tell the tale. And I would say that that's like perhaps like the one thing for sure that stands out the most above and beyond everything else, is the freedom of not feeling like I need to be able to conceal myself every 20 to 30 minutes so that I can make myself feel not sick again. And then obviously the physical, like, freedom, not being physically dependent on something is fucking nice too, right? And I honestly, like, the other thing, I'm probably just as grateful for this, obviously, and I'm grateful for the person that I am today, you know, is the mental clarity, right? Like, I try and I think about like what my mind was like in the activeness of it, and I can't even, I honestly, I can't even bring my mind to like, what was I feeling and thinking like when I was off the side of the 14 freeway at like the Shell and McDonald's right there, and taking a hit off the Pookie, and then also taking like 2 more hits off the foil of the Fenny, and then hitting the Pookie again, and going, taking a shot of the fucking pint I had to stop for, which is why I was there. And going, well, get back on the freeway, and fucking, I don't even know, like, where was I going? Like, I didn't have anywhere to go. Like, all my friends were like thinking I was gonna die. I was getting texts from them every day, like, are you okay? Just to make sure. Like, knowing that the people that love me aren't worried about me is huge, right? Like now when I get texts from my friends, it's because of being a bad friend, and I haven't hit them up recently, because I also now enjoy my peace. Another thing is like, it was the strangest thing, because you want this security that you can fucking get away every 20-30 minutes to go use, but you also want to have fun and be out and doing things. So like, there was this all like constant need to feel like I was out in the world, like around people, like doing things that could maybe possibly get me laid. Like, that was a big thing that was important too, which is retarded. And it's crazy to think that like that aspect of my life actually got way better as soon as I got done with rehab for some reason. Weird how that works too. Now I'm happily an engaged man, or, you know, I have a fiance that I love very much, and I mean, it's not even like a question or like a debate. Like, by multiples, exponentially, the best relationship romantically I've ever been in my entire life. And I don't even see like a way this could end. Like, it's that peaceful and happy, and like we've had arguments, but it's like stupid arguments, like, oh, like, why haven't you thought about what you want for dinner tonight? I asked you 2 hours ago. You know, and that goes both ways, right? And the awareness that I have now, right? I used to be so caught up in like, you know, that's another thing you don't think about, is like the lingering effects of having to always worry about like when and how or where you're gonna get high. Like, you're always worried about like what is going to happen, and you're always looking over your shoulder, because if you get pulled over, you've got a prison sentence in your pocket, all this shit, right? And now, like, I probably too much find myself getting stuck in right now, to where I actually sometimes forget like that, like I had stuff I needed to do, like, or that I was supposed to prepare for. But I'm also so like present and aware that like I can usually, like, you know, fix whatever that might be. But like, I feel like what's far more important than maybe missing some things like that, you know, I was supposed to be doing, or that I, you know, wanted to do but forgot about. The reason that I forgot about it is because I'm so encompassed and enthralled and immersed in now, right? In the moments that I am presently in. And this perspective on awareness and presence is invaluable, and is perhaps like the greatest like single like gift, right, that I was given through this experience, was the ability to be aware and remain present and observant of what is going on right now around me. And not only that, but the practice to gain the ability to bring myself back to the present moment through using my senses if I find myself wandering. Because one of my major beliefs is that if you've got 2 feet, if you keep one foot in the past, always worried about what already happened that doesn't exist anymore. Like, that shit, like, yeah, it happened, it's history, but it doesn't exist anymore, because there's absolutely zero that anybody could do to go and manipulate or change or alter that, right? So if you keep one foot there where it can't be altered or changed and it's already happened, and then your other foot, since we only have 2 feet, you keep in the future, which doesn't even exist because you don't even know if it's going to happen. Like, I'm talking right now, but am I going to be talking in 10 seconds? I don't know. I could just stop. Or like, I'm going to eat in 20 minutes, but what if a fucking massive asteroid hits and obliterates all of us in 15 minutes? Well, then I'm not able to eat in 20 minutes because I'm not here. And the future, I'm a firm believer that, like, the future, while it is implied, it does not outright exist, because that would imply that you are guaranteed to be here when that future comes. And none of us are guaranteed that shit. None of us. I could fucking get out of my car right now and fall, and there could be a knife standing in the middle of the road and go right through my fucking neck, and I'm not here anymore. Therefore, I won't eat in 20 minutes, right? There is no guarantees whatsoever that the next 10 seconds are even, yours or are going to be here, let alone the next 10 years from now, right? So you effectively, with that knowledge, you could say that keeping 1 foot in the past that doesn't exist anymore and 1 foot in the future, which can exist until the present happens, means that you are pissing on the present, because the only thing hanging over the present is your cock. What comes out of your cock? Piss, right? Pissing on the present. Pretty easy to understand. And I think that mathematically speaking, because the present comes before the future, that should you take every bit of ability, consciousness, willingness, and effort that you can and put it into this present moment, right? This present moment, you should, because the very best way that you could influence and make the future any better at all, the only way that the future will get better, or that you can influence it, is if you do everything in the present right now to make that better. Like, the future entirely hinges on the present and being aware in the present. And that is possibly the single greatest gift that the whole experience has given me. Life-wise, I live peacefully, financially, more than secure. I've got a fantastic career. I've got a foreman job lined up for me as soon as I'm better and not injured. And I make good enough money to support me and my family, and put a little bit of here away and invest. And before, I made almost just as much money, and I couldn't even fucking make enough money in a week to not go into my bank account to smoke some of that too. So, and I make more money now, right? And I spend a lot less. And I'm able to enjoy, right? There's no enjoying when you're in the thralls of active addiction. You are a slave. All of your thoughts and your entire mood and happiness and judgment, everything is entirely hindered and dependent on how easy it is for you to take another hit, because your physical well-being is engulfed entirely by your ability to take a hit. And if your physical well-being, well, that's where the flight and fight response comes in, right? If you start going through withdrawals, flight or fight's going to kick in. If flight tells you that, or fight tells you that you cannot feel like you're going to die by going somewhere and smoking what's in your pocket, by golly, you're going to do it. And that means that you are constantly hindered. It means you are constantly under the spell and the thralls of addiction, and every decision you make is based around that, whether you think so or not. And so the ability to be free from that is, having been in that and being on the other side of it. And I'm going to tell you, it's not free. You don't get to just stop doing drugs and go through rehab and learn about yourself, and then, that's it. You'll never think about getting high again. I think about getting high every fucking day. Almost all day. Any day. There are points multiple times at minimum every fucking day, where like I'll see something, I'll see a dude hitting a pookie on the street, and I'll be like, yeah, that fucking looks good. And then like, that's just telling me right there, like that's an answer in my head to the question of, is this a good idea? The answer is, well, fuck, look at how you felt about thinking about it. Obviously not. The devil is basically telling you, you put your mouth on that thing, you might as well be putting the mouth on the tip of my dick, because that's what you'd be doing. And you need to be aware and present to be able to make that discernment, or else you might very easily just say, yeah, you know what, let me go ask that guy if I can get a 20 sack from him. You know what I mean? And like, that's a constant battle, right? But the more times you successfully fight and win that battle, the more automated it becomes, to where you're aware of it, you're thinking about it, you notice when it happens, but the decision to fight back isn't as hard to make. The more you do it, the more repetitive and like riding a bike it becomes, to where, you know, now like I see those things and I still think about that, but almost as quickly as I think about them and as immediate as those thoughts hit my head, I'm already in my head saying, but yeah, think about where that leads. Like you like having money, you like having a fucking family and people that love you and aren't afraid that you're gonna kill yourself on accident, or, well, then obviously you know that you can't have that, right? Yeah, life is getting better too as time goes on. It's not getting worse, at least personally. Let's not talk about everything that's going on in the world and, you know, the shit outside of our control, because this is, we're here in this video talking about shit that, you know, we kind of have in our control. Not even entirely, but kind of. We have some control over. But, you know, me personally, I feel that I get and grow and become a better version of myself daily, because I do as much as I can to learn as much as I can, and be as humble and nice and caring of a person as I possibly can, because nobody knows why God put us here, but if I had to guess, it would be to get as much out of this gift of life that we possibly can, and the only way to do that is to be as aware and present in the moment that we are living in right now, because the past us is dead and the future us hasn't been born yet. And while we're in this present moment, doing everything we can to learn as much as we can about this world and what God has given us that we can learn, while also sharing and trying to help other people learn as much as they can about the world and themselves and the life and love that God has given all of us. And that's my guess on why I think we're all here. But I wouldn't even have been able to come up with that or have that fucking thought if I wasn't who I am today. And who I am today had to go through all that shit and be 3 3/4 years away from using hard drugs to be able to have those thoughts, right? Let me know if any of this made any sense. I know it was basically just me rambling, and very good at that, but I'm glad that my brain even allows me to. So sometimes I like to take advantage of it. But let me know what you think. Let me know, maybe you've got some experiences to share with me or with other people who want to know and hear about them, because I promise you, whether you think so or not, even if it's just 1 or 12 people that, like, I think 12 people have watched the last video I posted. I posted a video about my fentanyl detox like almost 2 years ago, and like 18,000 people have watched that. But I'm just as happy and just as pleased with the one I posted the other day. And I actually like that one better, because I felt like I was able to share more and be more thoughtful in it than I was in that first one. And the 1 or 12 people that watched that, one person that said anything on that video and commented on it, that means just as much as the 18,000 views or whatever. Like, Like, I got a career. Like, I got a job. Like, if I could reach anybody, that'd be really fucking cool. And if somebody got something out of any of this, that would be even cooler. But if not, at least I got to sit here and spitball some shit and think about, what goes on in my head for a little while. Because sometimes we just need to do that too. Anyways, anybody's watching, thank you. If not, thank you, God. I love you all. Everybody deserves a chance to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And the only way that you can even attempt to do that is if you take matters into your hands and give yourself that chance.